gotten to a point it's gotten to a point where boxing on HBO is slowing down. The reason why it's slowing down is they made some budget cuts. They're not working with the same amount of money that they've been working with in previous years, which is one of the reasons why we're not seeing HBO 24/7 for Pacquiao versus Bradley 3 or Face Off. I'm T Street Controversy. This is T Street Controversy Live. I cover every single major fight live. And now that Ruslan Provodnikov has signed a multi-fight deal with Showtime to fight John Molina, I'm going to talk about that in another video. You got Terence Crawford, who is being forced to fight Victor Postol. Now, it was looking like Bob Arum was keeping Terence Crawford and Victor Postol away from each other. Remember, he promotes both of them, so it's nothing political stopping him from making that fight. It looks like he was keeping them two away from each other for a reason, but now they're talking about Terence Crawford's next fight is going to be on pay-per-view. July the 23rd, maybe in Los Angeles, pay-per-view. Now, Terence Crawford is good. I like Terence Crawford. He does great ratings, even though his last fight with Lundy didn't do what his previous fights had done. He sells good tickets, but I think pay-per-view is a little premature for him right now, especially going up against, if it is Victor Postol, who is still somewhat heavily unknown. I'm T Street Controversy. This is T Street Controversy Live. I cover every single major fight live. Follow me on Twitter, and also please subscribe. The link to my Twitter is right down below in the description box. And I'm thinking pay-per-view Terence Crawford versus Victor Postol. Us hardcore fans would watch it, but would we really buy? Like, it's a fight that we want to see, but are we going to be like, oh, yes, you know, I can't wait to have a fight party for Terence Crawford versus Victor Postol. Now, I know up there in Omaha, they're going to be getting down. You know, they're going to be having barbecues and all kind of everything for the fight, but it's just not a pay-per-view worthy fight. I'm thinking, how many pay-per-view buys can it do? Now, if Golovkin versus Lemieux did somewhere between 150 to 200,000 pay-per-view buys, how much can Terence Crawford versus a Victor Postol do? Maybe a 75 to 100? I don't know. But the reason why Bob Arum is saying it's going to be on pay-per-view likely is, you know, according to ESPN, is because of the budget cuts with HBO. HBO just doesn't have the money to put on. Remember, they pay sanction. I mean, they pay the fees for these fights. Not the sanction, the fees. They pay for these fights, HBO. So they don't have the same amount of money to pay for as many fights as they did in the past. So putting it on pay-per-view would, I mean, I don't know. The whole situation for Terence Crawford right now is just looking a little suspect. Also, with the fact that this is one of those situations where the Cold War between Bob Arum and Al Heyman is really starting to take effect on the fighters' careers, because when it comes to Bob Arum, guys like Terence Crawford are running out of fighters to fight, to where a lot of big fights that we would want to see him against, you know, or fighters we would want to see him against, or with Al Heyman. But Victor Postol, you know, it's a fight that's regular HBO. It would do good on regular HBO. Many fans would tune in, but I'm not sure if us paying $60 or $50 for Terence Crawford versus Victor Postol at this point in time is fair. You know, I mean, I don't want to pay for it, you know, but at the same time, of course, with what I do, I have to pay for it. Let's look at other potential options for Terence Crawford. Hold on, let me pull up the WBO rankings real quick at 140 pounds. Now, of course, a big pay-per-view fight. Well, yeah, I can say it's a big pay-per-view fight. A fight that I want to see is another unification between Terence Crawford versus Adrian Broner. Now, if somehow they were able to make that deal happen, then I would buy that pay-per-view. But as it stands right now, as I said, with that political Cold War between Bob Arum, who's suing Al Heyman, and Adrian Broner being an Al Heyman fighter, it's hard for me to see those guys making that fight happen. You know, and it's a shame. Like I said, the fighters' careers are the ones who are suffering for it. You got Adrian Broner fighting Ashley Theophane. But let's see. When it comes to the WBO, who can he fight? Terence Crawford is not fighting Lucas Matisse. Lucas Matisse's eyes all fucked up, allegedly. You know, Mauricio Herrera. Call up Mauricio Herrera. But then again, that's not pay-per-view. You know, it's a shame but it's not pay-per-view. But I would love to see him versus Mauricio Herrera. Remember, Herrera was in negotiations to fight Lucas Matisse at 147. Well, I'm pretty sure he can still fight at 140, but at 147 on the undercard of Canelo versus Khan. You know, it's a shame when it comes to the WBO rankings. You know, it's not that deep. And remember, we're talking about fights at 140 where he's champion Terence Crawford. Fights at 147 don't really make too much sense at this point in time. You know, maybe an Adrian Granados, but we're talking about pay-per-view here. I mean, truth be told, the pay-per-view is not going to do well. You know, just my personal opinion. I just don't know, you know, if there's enough people up there in Omaha to buy Terence Crawford pay-per-view. Is there? You know, will 100,000 people plus buy Terence Crawford pay-per-view in Omaha? You know, I don't know. T-Street Controversy. This is T-Street Controversy Live pay-per-view. He's supposed to return, Terence Crawford, January the 23rd, 2016 in Los Angeles. It's looking like it's going to be Victor Postol. Bob Arum is saying it's going to be on pay-per-view, but, you know, it's not official yet, but this is what the promoter's saying. So, you know, this is what he wants, and I'm pretty much sure if he wanted it, he's going to make it happen. Please subscribe. Follow me on Twitter. All my social media links are right down below in the description box. Please subscribe.